Reddit, what gave you crap self-esteem as a teen? Other teens. That's exactly the first thing I thought of as well. People can be ruthless. Being short. I had many girls think they were complimenting me by saying if you were taller you'd be so hot. Dang, that got to me. The thing is, it's not like calling someone fat where it's obviously an insult. People just say it, not thinking that you're going to go home crying about it. Somehow, it's always worse when they think they're giving a compliment. I accidentally bumped into a guy in the hallway, and as I was walking away, I overheard him complain to his friends that some ugly ass girl bumped into him. 18-year-old here. Really, whenever my parents don't believe in me, especially in sports and academics, and also, whenever my friends all hang out and don't care to invite me, that sucks. And another thing is that I like a lot of stuff that some people just don't understand. Like, I watched through Avatar, The Last Airbender as an 18-year-old and loved it. However, everyone that I tell about it gives me this, "That's a kid's show, and I'm too good for that," attitude. My acne. Because society is freaking retarded and associates acne with poor hygiene. I showered twice a day, and thanks to my mother's crap genetics, I still had acne. The only thing I never tried was Accutane because some depressed loser flew a Cessna into a building and they blamed Accutane for compounding his depression. I'm in exactly the same position. Been suffering with acne for 3+ years now. Shower and wash my face twice a day every day and use multiple products. Makes no freaking difference. All I hear is it will go away or it's just your age. Pisses me off. Accutane seems the only way out, but because of a bunch of exaggerated bulls articles on the internet, no one wants me to take it. Me. I was my own worst enemy for my teen self-esteem. I saw everything as a failure and beat myself up over each one. I hadn't yet learned to forgive myself for what was done and learn to move on. I still clung to hope for a better past, though clinging to that did nothing but hurt me. Such hope was an impossible aspiration that would make me feel like crap when I was inevitably faced with another reminder of the history I had lived and could not change. My dad telling me that if I didn't stop being a tomboy and start wearing a bra I was going to have tea down to my hips. Thanks, Dad. I've stopped wearing a bra unless I absolutely have to, and mine are noticeably firmer and more perky. You know nothing, Dad. I'm half Mexican and I got a long, very noticeable arm hair all the women on that side of my family have. I wore a hoodie year round, every single day all 4 years of high school because I was so embarrassed about it. Since growing up though, I've realized no one else gives two shoots, so I probably shouldn't either. I kind of own it now. I have been known to chase my significant other around the house screaming, "Pet me, IT's so soft." I understand. I still shave my arms because of a few crappy comments I received from people when I was young. My stepmother made me feel unwelcome and unwanted, laughed at me when I needed help, made fun of me and taught her kids, who are also my half siblings, to dislike me. One time, my half brother threw his toy truck at me that narrowly missed me when I made a joke about not wanting to leave my dad's house, was living with my mom. One time, my half sister, who was only 8, completely unprovoked, came to talk down to me when I was 16. After all is said and done, I can't really say that I hate her for it, because I learned a great deal about compassion and forgiveness. The hardest part has been to have compassion for myself. I am not mentally or emotionally there yet, but I am not where I used to be either. I also find that I am able to help other people through my experience. I'm glad you made it through your childhood without becoming like those people. I'm still a teen and I still feel crap about my micropiness. There's really no way to feel good about it unless you are 100% delusional and need to be taken to the loony bin because you overdosed on Adderall. I've been waiting for this. Sophomore year of high school, I decide to ask a girl out to homecoming in front of the whole class. Brought flowers and stuff. Got rejected. That didn't crush me though. And no, I didn't cry. Sniffle. What crap on my self-esteem happened a week later. First class of the day and the teacher decides to give a pop quiz on the video we watched yesterday in class. I'm mad because I used those videos as nap time. My pencil is dull, so I get up to use the sharpener as the quiz is passed out. I get back to my seat to see the quiz. Some girl in class, "Will you go to homecoming with me?" A. Yes. B. No. C. Maybe. D. I'd rather go with Pixel. Then I look up and the guy in front of me is holding a bouquet of flowers for the girl he asked using this fake quiz. I'm mad. I'm furious. I was seeing all shades of red, but I calmed down. Everyone was clapping for this dong. I want to poke him. I want to tell him off, but I knew that I'd come off as an butthole trying to ruin their happiness. I just sat in at my desk and said nothing. What a frick. We had video announcements at my high school, and I had 2 really bad experiences with it. 1. There were 3 cute girls in my science club that were also student council members. One day my junior year, they were on the announcements doing a drawing for free prom tickets. I won, and they were laughing so hard they could barely say my name. Once they got it out, my class was howling. I had multiple people that day seriously approach me and say, "Can I have your tickets? Not like you're gonna use them." 2. When I was a sophomore, my parents had paid for school photos and I forgot to pick them up. During the announcements, they said they would show the faces of the people who still needed to come pick them up. Well, luckily, they forgot. Unluckily, halfway through my class, the TV came back on and the announcer said, "Oh, here's that kid that forgot his pictures. The pic was terrible. I know other kids forgot their photos." The announcer just wanted to get a laugh. It worked. A friend of mine told me his teacher quieted down the class by saying, "Hey, don't laugh. Some people are born differently than us." He thought I was physically or mentally disabled. My parents. They made me feel like a morbidly obese cow. Looking back at pictures of myself, I was maybe like 15 pounds overweight, a little round around the edges and not as rail thin as them, but nowhere close to as fat as they made me feel. This hurts me so much. I felt the same. I weighed at most 140 pounds in high school and was probably closer to 130 for most of it, and I seriously thought I was the fattest person in the world. At my heaviest I was twice that, and after a lifetime of struggling with my weight I would be so goddamned happy to get back to that weight because I was amazing and had absolutely no idea. Being compared to a sibling. I was called creepy in high school. I didn't mean to be. I just didn't know any better. It didn't help that I was also a pretty unattractive kid. Grew out of the ugly kid phase, and I figured out how to interact with people in a superficial sense. But I still try to avoid human contact as much as possible. You never really stop seeing yourself the way you were when you're young. Still surprises the frick out of me when I see myself in the mirror. I'm very hairy, and it started to grow right at puberty in places that I didn't know people grew body hair. And being a gay teenager in the late 90s early zeros, the ideal then was basically hairless twinks or hairless muscle gods and nothing in between. So that was crappy. I used to pray almost every night I'd wake up the next morning with no ass hair, but those prayers went unanswered. Religious attitudes. Where I grew up, if someone even suspected you weren't a Christian, you were assumed to be evil and deserved whatever anyone did to you. Stuttering. I always had this problem, as far as I can remember really, and while it is not as severe as some cases, it's amazing how much crap you can get for a problem that you have no control over other than to go to therapy, and even then it's unavoidable sometimes. School was the worst for me, and sometimes I even felt like it was a personality block in a way. You want to say something, you want to be yourself, but then you think, is this worth stuttering for? The answer was mostly no, and over the course of a few years, you develop this personality of just lingering and being afraid to speak your mind due to fear of mocking. I still stutter, but not nearly as much as I used to, and it doesn't have that much of an effect on me now as it did when I was in my early teens. It still sucks when I just can't complete a sentence in one try, though. 16yo here. Basically living in the shadow of my older brother. He's 2 years older than me, and he's a cool ass dude, but he is pretty well known around my schools and town. Everywhere I go people recognize me not as an individual, but as X's brother. Teachers in high school, every year, are you X's brother? In sports, are you X's brother? Even at my last job, are you X's brother? I'm my own person, but people always label me as just X's brother, and that kind of crap hammers at my self-esteem because it makes me feel like I'm not seen in the same light as every other individual. and that I must always be compared to another individual to measure my value. I have done plenty of things that my brother hasn't done. Football, clubs, jobs, classes, to make a name for myself, but it always circles back around to standing in the same shadow, and I can't step out of it. Sorry, this was kind of long. Haven't ever said this before. If it makes you feel better, most of the time when people are asking you if your ex's relative, they're just doing it because it boosts their ego to know that they still remember X and their last name physical characteristics. They're not necessarily comparing you. Most of the time they probably just think they're making good small talk. Being fat. Sorry, the people replying to you are being jerks. I don't understand why so many Redditors hate fat people. Introvertism and lack of communication skill. I never knew how to make friends. Never knew how to get into a conversation. Whenever I say something, people either start laughing for whatever reason, or get bored and change topic. I'm mid-20s-ish and I have almost no close friends and very little friends and never have a girlfriend. My older brother was very popular in high school. I was not. Crappy acne, flabby body, terrible hair that couldn't be styled. Heck, the acne even left permanent pockmarks on my face, which still makes me feel ugly to this day. Truth. I have known several people with pockmarked faces. I found some of them very attractive, unique and interesting. I wanted to tell them this, but was afraid they would think I was being insincere. Kids making fun of me for going to special education classes and the school system for publicly humiliating me. I had, and still do, a very hard time comprehending math. I'm still a bit slow with my multiplication skills. I have Asperger's syndrome, so school was a B for me. Every morning I would wait at the same bus stop with the regular kids. They rode the big bus and I rode the short bus. My bus would always come first and they would laugh at me for it. When the short bus takes me home, the regular kids got off first, so some of them would wait till I got off the bus, and when I'm off the bus some of the neighborhood kids would throw rocks at me when the bus driver left and they would call me a retard. The special ed teachers would talk to me in the way you would talk to a 5-year-old. I needed therapy and extra help on math, but in class I was forced to do things way below my level, such as finger painting and board games. It was pretty much a daycare in a middle school high school. The bullies spread bulls rumors around saying I still wet the bed and I occasionally crap myself. I kill cats, I am gay, etc, etc. Things got better in high school because I was so despite to fit in, so I picked up smoking cigarettes and weed to be cool. It worked, and now up to this day I still have a nicotine addiction. I also still smoke weed, but now it's because I like how it makes me feel more so than fitting in. Since I'm an adult now, I have friends mature enough to understand I have mental disabilities. My self-esteem is better now. I'm still a tad pessimistic, but not nearly as bad as it used to be. My current friends are amazing. Sucks I didn't know them in middle school and beginning of high school. Acne. Not as a teen, but when I was 20 I was helping out having a break at this hotel and got on well with one of the guests who was a great guy. He was a motivational speaker who had lost an arm and a leg to a line miner. He was good fun and really interesting to talk to for the 2 weeks he was there. Now it's important to note that I am autistic and normally try to avoid people if I can. But this guy was interesting, so I talked to him a lot and his family, and on the last day there he says to me, "You're a great guy and I am sure you will have no problem finding your way in the world, but you need to be more confident." That hurt. I had been putting all my energy into being as confident as I could for the last 2 weeks with him. I thought I had been doing a good job. Apparently not. Learn from it. Become better. If there is anything you have in life, it's time. When you're walking home as an awkward male teenager and you hear the group of girls behind you giggle, it doesn't matter if they're actually talking about you, and it doesn't actually affect you, but you always feel like an awkward piece of crap right after. That's not a male thing. Every teenager feels like that when a group behind them starts laughing. Adults who make you feel like your opinion is worthless. Also, even if you are willing to learn, if it doesn't directly benefit them to teach you a lesson, they just move on. It conditions you to feel like you're not worth anyone's time. The fact that one of my favorite teachers didn't know my name. I had this teacher call my friend dumb once, to his face, in front of 3 other kids. Being a teen. You have been visited by the horse-headed girl. Like this video quick or she'll eat all of your sugar cubes. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video. Or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.